Hey, everybody, it's Chris. We're going to get started here in just a couple minutes. Excited to have you all here. Hey, Chris again. We're going to get started in just a couple minutes. Hey, everybody. It's about that time, eh, Taylor?
It is.
It is 11 o'clock or 8 o'clock or somewhere in between, wherever you may be coming in from. I want to welcome everybody. Good morning, Taylor.
Morning, Chris.
And we're super excited. I'm sure you've seen a lot of our marketing. This is the first time we've really unveiled our approach to a business-led data strategy. And the punchline here is moving from data chaos to clarity and really being able to drive growth and transformation for construction companies. So very much focused on the construction industry. We got a short timeline here, 45 minutes. We got about 300 slides, I think. So it's gonna be a rock and roll session, but we're gonna try to really do something special with everybody. And we'll get things moving forward. The mile markers for today's conversation. Now we're going to talk a little bit about just why organizations, construction companies should look to become data driven. Why even bother? And then look at the headwinds. What's holding companies back from adopting technology, really using technology to drive their business? Then we're going to jump into our secret unlocks for developing and implementing a data strategy. And then we're going to do it. We're going to do it in 20 minutes if we can. And we're actually going to build out a lightning rapid data strategy together and see what we can do. Now, hopefully you would have got a link for a download for a workshop worksheet companion.
Yeah.
If you don't have it, that's okay. We'll try to get that into the a link to that into the chat box. But if you don't have it, no problem. Get a paper and pen and take notes. Take notes like you're going to teach this, and you're going to hear me say that a few times. After the sprint, we're going to then explore together. Now what? Now Taylor's joining me here today. Taylor and I have worked together for 5 years. He is manning the chat line. If you have questions or comments, and we're going to talk a little bit like we're friends, and we are friends with all of you here. So let's get going. So first off, why even bother, right? Why show up to a webinar? Why go through the pain and suffering of technology to quote unquote become data driven. Well, across industries, the proof points are pretty unanimous that when done correctly, and that's the key, when done correctly, being data driven is an accelerator for businesses. And how? Well, all these reasons, right? Whether it's decision making, better information to make decisions, improved efficiencies, bottom line, top line, customer experience, driving innovation, right? Using data to be able to appear into dark corners and understand opportunities. Risk reduction, obviously critical in construction. There's a myriad of reasons why an organization may look to become data driven. And really, the question is, what's your reason, right? Why sign up for a webinar here today? Because in the end, that's the only thing that matters, is what's your reason for investing in this approach. So there's lots of good reasons to do it. What's holding companies back, specifically in construction? Well, I mean, construction's got a lot of characteristics, idiosyncrasies that make it different than other industries. It's like a conglomerate of companies that all exist over a period of time to do one specific thing, that project. It's a industry that has tight profit margins, so there's not a lot of capital rolling around for experiments. There's complex technology landscape, right? There's a lot of old stuff. Like there's stuff, Taylor, that's 2 or 3 generations old.
Yeah,
right?
Older than me.
Older than you.
Yeah.
And then the new stuff, right? The new cloud-based modern solutions and how to get that all to work together. Tight margins. It means there's not a lot of IT staff in most construction companies, right? So the staff required to put this together. Technology is just a starting point, right? And we're going to talk about the role of technology in all of this, but really technology exists to do something useful with this thing called data that drives an impact. And so there's this lineage that exists, and resistance to change. Yes. Fragmented industry. There's a lot of parties playing together, and a lot of it is just like a lot of people have been burnt touching the stove. We see that a lot. Hey, Taylor.
Yeah, absolutely.
So lots of headwinds, right? There's lots of things holding us back, but not everybody, right? It's not holding everybody back. So what are the proof points? I gotta fess up here. I used my buddy Chat GPT to do this. I'd encourage everybody to, 1, play with it, and 2, do exactly that. Look for ROI proof points in construction. So I grabbed a bunch here just to kind of set the stage, right? Yes, there's things holding us back, and this is possible, right? So McKinsey, companies that embrace technical or digital technologies like data analytics, 20% increase in productivity, 15% reduction in project costs. So that's hitting the margin, right? Dodge Data and Analytics, ROI of 6.2 times their investment. Now, yes, that could be cherry picked, but there is a company that did that, right? Focusing on project performance. Accenture, another company, 20% reduction in equipment downtime, 15% reduction in maintenance cost, ROI of over 200%. It's big. But wait, there's more. Oracle, a construction company, used data analytics to optimize supply chain, procurement down 20%, ROI, again, well over 200%. Right? These are big numbers. FMI, construction companies that use data analytics, project delivery, 20% reduction in project duration, 14% reduction in project costs. Again, margins, right? Straight to the bottom line. Trimble, use data analytics to optimize scheduling, ROI of 10 times their investment in data analytics. Now, 10 times, that seems kind of crazy. Hey, Taylor?
Yeah, it seems insane.
But I'm going to argue, and we're going to dive into this, that a lot of it is in picking the targets that matter to you, the business leaders on this call. And that these types of, 10 is probably, it's a big number. But what are the opportunities out there for you? So all these companies, why not you? All right. And that's what we're going to open the door a little bit to here today. Right now, as we go through this isn't ADO's data strategy. It's not, not, you must work with us to do this. We're going to work through and develop a data strategy inside of 20 minutes that's appropriate for you and your company with respect to where you are right now. So why not you? So here's the bold session objectives. I'll go so far as to say the promise for this session. We've seen the proof points, plus 200% ROIs, 6x, 10x. Our promise here is we're going to provide the approach and the tools to do this yourself. Right. And we mean that, right? We're gonna walk through it really quickly, but you'll have all the principles, all the tactics, all the thinking tools to be able to do this yourself. So I think that's possible, Taylor.
It's gonna be tight, but I think we can make it happen.
All right. You got to keep me honest on time. I like to talk. So here's your side, dear attendees. Here's your side of the proposition. Grab that pen, grab that paper, sit up tall in your seat, get energized. And I want you to play full out, right? Take examples from your experience, take examples you're dealing with right now, and take notes. I did this past week with an executive. I think he's on the call actually. And I was just amazed at how he played full out, right? How he really leaned. And this is a senior guy. And he really played full out. He took notes, and I say take notes like you're going to teach it, because you will have the opportunity to repeat this. You could do it weekly, you could do it quarterly, you can do it annually, but this is an opportunity to really be purposeful in developing a data strategy. Now, okay, who am I? Why am I talking to you here? Well, I've been around for a long time. Taylor pointed this out this morning. So 20 plus years I've been in analytics, last 7 in construction. I've done a lot of different things. I've marketed solutions, I've sold solutions, I've implemented, I've built some companies. I hope to be building another one here. And oftentimes I found myself on the front of the curve, right? What we sometimes call the bleeding edge. We call it the bleeding edge because of all the bleeding, right? Because of all the learning. And you know how you learn? By making mistakes. And I've made them all. Right. I've focused on technology. I've thought I've had the silver bullet. I've not thought through the business implications or the business impact. And so I'm here telling the story on these mistakes so that hopefully you don't have to, right? That you can benefit from these learnings. And I'm as excited as I've ever been in my career because I think it's construction's time. Right. There's a pent up demand for digitization. And you'll see that digitization doesn't really matter, right? It's the business impact. And I think we're now getting our hands around how to really drive meaningful business impact. So that's me. How about you, Taylor?
Yeah. So a little bit of background on me. Coming at it with a little bit less experience, but I've basically started and worked my full career in construction technology enablement. So I came right out of the gate, and I got to experience construction technology to the masses. I met a lot of people. I learned how to do things the wrong way, the right way. And then now I'm sitting on the other side of it. I have huge passion for the construction industry, innovation. And I consider myself a problem solving enthusiast. So, we will say this a lot today. We're all going to learn how to love the problem. We live it and breathe it here at ADO. So really excited to have everyone on the call today.
Awesome. Thanks, Taylor. All right. So we're going to put yourself in the future here. Maybe it's 6 months, maybe it's a year, 3 years. But what if you could, right? What if you could have data and technology propel your business objectives, right? Really supercharge where you're trying to go with the business. What if you had an investment approach that allowed you to make these investments in time and money confidently and purposely in building a future? What if, like these studies, you had an approach to where every dollar could return 2 or 3 or more? Because we've seen those proof points that it's possible. What if driving business growth became both predictable but breathtaking? Right, you knew what you were striving for, and you could assess against that target, and really just build off that continued momentum. And what if you could transform your data from a liability in your company, right, sitting around costing you money, to a tangible asset that's making you money that actually sits on the balance sheet? And we've seen that across industries. And again, I think it's construction's time. So what if? Does that sound exciting? Is that something you get behind?
Absolutely.
All right. How are we doing for time here, Taylor? We hitting our marks?
We're hitting our marks so far.
All right. Well, that's good because we're getting into the High Wire Act. So here comes the secret, right? Here's the deep, dark, Colonel Sanders KFC secret locked away. The secret to unlocking your data strategy. And it turns out Taylor's already spilled the beans. The secret really is in your problems. The problems that you have in your organizations, the problems that you're wringing your hands over, they are actually opportunities in disguise. And this next section of the data strategy, we're actually going to dive into this. And it's a Stoic term, the obstacle is the way. The noise from these problems is the signal where to look, right? These problems are gifts, right? You should be looking for a worthy problem of your massive skills. The pain of these problems paints the future, right? When you can imagine the other side of that problem, that pain, you know what the data insight needs to do, right? You know what, and we're going to walk through that. So we really believe, Taylor said it as part of our core values, to love the problem. And that really is the fundamental component of our approach that we're sharing here on developing a data strategy. So that's the scaffolding, is loving the problem. And we're going to learn to love the problem together. But it's not just, I was listening to this book about applying design thinking to your life, and you can spend a lot of time loving the wrong problem, right? And there's problems that like gravity is not a problem you should be trying to solve. So how do we start to put some thinking around loving the problem? Well, does solving the problem get us to where we want to go? And that's the essence of being business led, right? Where do we want to go as a business? Is solving the problem worth it? If you have a problem that's not worth solving, is that a problem? No. And then, do we understand the problem? Do we understand why it's a problem? Do we understand why it exists, why it's bugging us, what we can do about it? Do we really deeply understand that? And so that is the essence of our 20-minute data strategy that we're going to do together. All right. Are we ready for it? Let's dive in. Okay. If you have the handout, this is the sheet that we're going to be working from. It's pretty straightforward. It's been built for this session, and it's a slimmed down version of what we do with clients. Now, I should tell you that I may have already mentioned this, but we do data strategy development workshops with clients. They tend to be, I don't think they've been any shorter than 90 minutes.
No.
It's probably best a 3-hour session, collaborative. Taylor did it last week in Arizona to a group of 30 to 40 construction leaders.
Yeah, and we took 2 hours. So
yeah, and then lots of Q&A. So if you don't have the sheet, just make it up, but do play full out. First piece: where do you want to go, and where are you taking your business? Now, from Alice in Wonderland, if you don't know where you're going, any road will take you there. And that's often what happens here around construction technology, is that it becomes the end in itself, right? It's once we get this payroll system up, once we get this time card implemented, once we have a purchasing system, then the magic will happen. And I think it's important, and you're going to see that we believe that it's important to decide where you're going first, so that you're not just taking any road. So the first exercise here, if we want the business strategy to drive the data strategy, we should get clear what the business strategy is. And I'm going to, regardless of what your role is in the organization, I want you to take a few seconds. We're going to, 20 seconds?
Short, 20
seconds.
You know your business,
yeah.
write down your business.
And whether it's your company goals, your business unit, your objectives with labor or manufacturing or what have you, I want you to, in this box here, I want you to take 20 seconds. And Taylor's going to be our timekeeper. And I want you to list them out.
20 seconds on the clock.
We must be close.
All right, that's 20 seconds. And it might feel fast, but it's designed to feel fast.
Yeah. We're purposely compressing time here to force the thinking, right? To force an acuteness to the thinking. And this whole exercise is about pausing and taking time to think. So the next step, now that we've got, a little bit of where we want to go, it sets the filter, the lens for thinking about your problems, right? And really starting to love our problems, not cringe, but actually say, oh, there you are. There you are, you opportunity hiding in disguise. So a way to approach this, one of my favorite ways to think about this is to use the magic wand, right? And I'm going to jump here to the slide. So we at ADO think of it in terms of blind spots. What are the blind spots in your operation? And we all have them. We all have blind spots. We have them in real life. We have them in our business. We have them in our relationships. But if you had a magic wand in your company right now, what are the blind spots that you would eradicate? You would wave that wand and make disappear. And we're going to we'll take another 25 seconds, I think. Yep, and I'll get you to list those blind spots in this next quadrant here, labeled appropriately blind spots. So what might those be, right? They could be at the company level, could be at the project level.
Anything. Could be that missing piece of information that you need going into a meeting. Could be that manual movement of data to keep two systems in line. Could even be the time you spend going into multiple systems to get that answer you're looking for.
Yeah. Could be stuff that you just don't get in a adequate time frame.
Exactly. Yeah.
So
all right. So we're keeping time here. It's been 25. Rolling in the next section.
Excellent. So hopefully you got a bit of a list there. If anybody wants to share on the chat some of your blind spots, please feel free any point in time, and we'll have time at the end here for Q&A. Now we step into the, is it worth it? Right? These problems that we are identifying, are they worth it? So you started with, where are you going? Business objective. You've got an inventory of raw material, of blind spots, of problems that you could solve. Pick one, right? You don't have to stick with it, but pick one just for this exercise. Maybe it's in line with your business objectives. Pick one, and we're going to start to love it. And as my friend Albert here said, what he said was, if I had an hour to spend solving a problem, I spend 55 minutes thinking about the problem and 5 minutes thinking about the solutions. So we're going to be hard pressed to spend 55 minutes, but I think we can spend a little bit of time here getting curious and thinking about the problem. So in that problem section, we're going to start under the clarifier problem, and we're going to get curious, and we'll take 30 seconds here. I'll give you some prompts, but what do you know and understand about that problem? So why is it a problem? Why is it a blind spot?
Yeah. Who's affected by it, either directly or indirectly? Are you doing anything about it today?
Yeah.
Give it a rating, 1 to 10. How big of an issue is it?
Yeah.
How long has it been around for? That was a really interesting one when I ran this workshop in Phoenix.
Yeah.
We had problems that existed the entire length of companies. Some that popped up last week.
Yeah. Why is now the time to fix it?
We're at 40 seconds.
Excellent. Excellent. So hopefully you've got a perspective on this. You've thought it through a little bit, and you know stuff now that you didn't know before. As Einstein said, curiosity is more important than knowledge, right? So now we'll move over to the future state when you cleverly have no problem. That problem is now gone. All right. And now looking at it in this future, through this future lens, what do you now know? You know, what made that blind spot go away? What's the job that data insight is doing that made it disappear, right? Who's it doing it for? What is that person using? What information do they need? How are they getting it? What are they doing with this information? What's now different? And what's now different in your business?
What are you doing with that extra time back?
Yeah. Better decisions. Are you seeing risks you didn't see? Do you have less waste? Another 10 seconds, maybe.
Perfect.
All right. So we got curious about a problem. We looked at the future when there was no problem. And now we're going to start to say, really drill in, is this thing worth it? Now, you can tell by the impact and dollar sign that's where we're going first. Is it worth it from a dollars and cents? Now, this is your assessment, right? This number is only for you. It's not coming to us. It's not, you don't have to share it with anybody, but just decide for yourself, what do you think this is worth to your company, right? What's it worth to you? Is it a weekly cost? Is it a removal of a risk that can be quantified? There's some other ideas here. How much would you pay to have a piece of information to walk into a meeting with your client every week? Right. Other ideas on this, Taylor?
What's it costing you at the project level, right? What's it costing you per month or per week or in someone's role who is literally just to move data from one system to another?
Yeah.
Those are kind of the ways I think about how to quantify these.
Yeah. So this can be super illustrative. And again, it's not for anybody. It's for you to decide, is this a worthy problem? Now, obviously, dollars is a good way to quantify a problem and an opportunity. To qualify it, a tool that I really like to use is this best worst, right? So what is the best action? What is the best outcome if you take action? If you get rid of this problem, this blind spot, what's the best thing that could happen in your company? What's the worst thing that can happen in your company if you don't? And it sets a set of goalposts.
Yeah. I love leaning into that worst action too, because when you're creating the plan, you can think about ways to overcome those obstacles.
Yeah. And this is where we get into some great, and we're facilitators, but we get into some great collaborative conversations with teams from companies, right? With a cross section of leadership and operations and technology, and it starts to drive alignment. Now, we don't have time for it today, but I guess I'm going to do it anyways. I love to pause at this point and just have people reflect, right? So you took a problem and you looked at it through 4 or 5 lenses. You got curious about why the problem exists. You looked at the present and past. You looked into the future. You put some dollar signs to it, and then you kind of did a best worst, right? So, regardless of what that problem is, you now know stuff you didn't know before. I would encourage you to write that down. What insights did you have? What decisions have you made? What actions are you going to take? Okay, we better keep moving. Now we get into diagnosing and understanding problems, and we're going to introduce something here called the data maturity framework. Jumping right into it, this is something that we've developed here over the past year. But we started looking at the problems that we were helping organizations solve, right? And that tends to be, Taylor said, we love problems. That tends to be the path for us, was when people show up and say, I got a problem. Can you do this? And it was actually, I was away from work. I was on vacation thinking about work. And I started thinking about the problems that we're seeing and comparing it to Maslow's hierarchy, right? Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And what started to emerge for me was this idea of these tiers of data problems, right? And they are all data problems when you get down to it. So these 3 tiers of data problems, going from construction technology, system integration, and then insights to business impact, right? Data insights to business impact. And what you start to see is that problems at each tier are actually normal. They can be expected. And looking at them at various tiers, you can actually predict what they are and what they're going to be, and you know how to solve them, right? You know where to go with this. Not only can you identify and isolate and troubleshoot the individual problem, but the framework allows us to really look at a client situation holistically, right? To actually see from the bottom to the top what they're trying to achieve. And we're going to work through this, but I tell this story about the technology magic trick, and when technology is not working, or system integration is not working, or insight's not working, it's all you can hear, right? In Maslow's hierarchy, if you're having issues at the survivor level, you're not thinking too much about enlightenment. But when technology is working, it's like a magic trick. It just fades away, it disappears, and gives you time. And that's true all the way up the stack. Some thoughts on this, Taylor?
Yeah, one thing that was really impactful for this framework is it really paints the picture well in terms of educating the industry in general, or management teams about data as an asset. People want to jump right to that top tier, but when you look at it in this level of framework, you can start to understand and diagnose the problems at the different layers. And once you resolve those, then you're up on that tier. Now you've got a strategy. Now you understand what it means to have data as an asset.
Yeah, awesome. All right, we better get cracking here if we're going to hit our 20-minute target. So construction tech, that's like the plumbing, right? When do you think about the plumbing? When it's not working. So starting to, Jim Collins has the brutal look at the brutal facts. Progress really starts when you have a clear understanding, clear picture of where you're at. And that's the place to start here is with the plumbing. So real quick, inside of your worksheet, I'm going to get everybody here to take 15 seconds, shouldn't take very long, and list your 3 most problematic squeaky wheel, sand in the gear components of technology, software, the elements in your business. What are the 3 pieces that are causing you stress? And then you'll see little boxes there at the right side of that quadrant. And the second fun part is to assess the level of pain, friction, dissatisfaction from, if it's one of your top 3, you're probably not going to have a 0, never think about it. You may have some 5, golly gee willikers, this is really maddening type reactions.
It's all you're hearing.
That's what you hear, right, Taylor?
Yeah, all the time.
Yeah. Okay, let's keep trucking. Moving up to system integration. And the way to think about this is like a building, the commissioning of the equipment. Do the parts work together? And a way to, when it works, it works. The data starts to flow, it's available, it's accurate, people are able to use it. When it doesn't work, then your opportunity to use that data is degraded. We believe one of the ways to really diagnose system integration is through the symptoms, right? And we've listed the symptoms here. If you're spending time with manual data entry, if you have fragile integration methods, if you're having to go different places, different systems to get a complete answer, if it just takes too long to pull it together, or too cumbersome, or you don't trust it, right? These are all symptoms that you may have a data integration problem, right? So in the next step here, we're going to go to the symptoms list and just check off anything you're experiencing, anything you're seeing in your company, and diagnose where that is, right? Just, it's an indicator to come back later. Again, these problems are gifts.
Exactly. We're essentially creating that heat map of opportunities and problems to dig into.
Yeah. Now, the bullseye, the target, where the action starts to happen is when the data is being transformed into an asset, when you're driving business impact based on the insights that the people are now able to use. And this construct, you like this one, Taylor.
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
Every company has data, lots of data everywhere. It's data everywhere. It's been like that for decades, right? Probably 50 years. And then you start to invest in technology to manage that data, right? To do things with it. And analytics is just a flavor of technology, right? To start to distill insights. But up to this point, you haven't really done anything, right? You've just, you put in the plumbing and the equipment to start to try to get to something. And that something is the insight. It's the insight that allows you to make better decisions and drive business performance. Not really, that one lands for you.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's so important because data is such a buzzword in the industry right now. Everyone's talking about data, but really no one cares about the data, right? You got to flip the perspective, start talking about the better business performance, the better decisions that you can make once you have that, actionable unlocked data.
Yeah.
That's how it should be framed.
So we did a bit of this already inside of the clarifier exercise. But focusing on the insight, the impact of an insight is maximized when it's designed for the job to be done, right? And then when we jumped into that future state, that's what we were doing there. When it's not designed well for usability, it whether it's complex or I call it the 747 dashboards, right? There's just a loss of utility, and it takes too many calories to consume the information, right? It's just not worth the juice, isn't worth the squeeze. And when you have ineffective insights, it erodes trust. It erodes confidence in what you're trying to set out to do here. Conversely, and this is key, and we'll come back to it, a well-designed insight actually delivers benefits in perpetuity. It's like an annuity. It's like a dividend that, you get it up and running and it does its job, and then people can't imagine living without it. So the exercise here, and we've listed all the instructions, is to think about and list 3 important data insights that you have today. All right. Some reports, some dashboards, could be Excel, a KPI, whatever it is, right? List 3 important ones. And then similar to what we did with technology, we're going to assess it. 1, it's useless. If it's useless, maybe there's an opportunity to trim, or perhaps it can't live without, and it's there might be opportunities to improve its utility and design. And that goes into that block there. All right. So we've tackled those lower tiers, and now we're going to look at it from a standpoint of how do you have clarity in where you're going and confidence. And we're going to introduce this concept of the investment lens, the investment strategy, which really allows you to have conviction in the investments you're making, but also drive alignment across your organization to create that future, right? To envision and move towards that future. So a bunch of stuff here that we'll cut through here quickly, but the algebra of data strategy, really, for this to work, to get the 200, 300, 6x ROIs, it's about the business impact being greater than the investment. What are the impacts? Well, we looked at that right off the top, right? What matters to you and your company, decision-making, competitive advantage, top line, bottom line. The investments, well, those are the 3 tiers we just covered, right? Your investments in technology, your investments in system integration, your investments in insights that create impact. And when you think about this, you have to think about it across the time horizon, right? In terms of the benefit, that benefit actually accrues over time. And in a lot of these studies, you'll see ROI over 3 years, but the costs also accrue over time. And we really advocate taking a plan, build, manage approach. And just a quick hint here, we're actually doing a plan here right now, right? So you are doing the planning, and you'll be able to then go out and do some stuff, some execute, build, and then manage. We believe it should aim for 2x. Actually, I believe 3x. You assess against that, and then you rinse and repeat, get smarter, and start stacking those gains. So real quick, the exercise, the impact being greater than the investment. What's present for you here? Where are the opportunities for you to think about those 2, 3, 6x opportunities in your business? And then what might you have to invest in across those lower tiers of data maturity? All right. You know what? I don't know if we hit 20 minutes, but we did it. That is actually your 20-minute data strategy. And so we had the promise at the beginning that we're going to give you an approach and tools to deliver, 2x returns on data investments. And it may not be clear to you that we have put it all together, or we might have put it all together. So let's covered over. So the principles here: love the strategy or love the problem, right? The problems are your gifts. They're the opportunities in disguise. Your business objectives. The data strategy can propel the business objective. But it's the business that leads always first and foremost. Understanding and diagnosing data maturity, right? How do you actually get in and get your hands around these gifts that are problems? And then an investment strategy. And all this amounts to clarity, confidence, and alignment in your organization. So that's the approach. Now, hopefully you have been following along. You've been taking notes. You've been energized and playing full out. So let's look what we did here. And this is the ingredients to your data strategy. So you looked at your business objectives. You took an opportunity to think about the gift of these blind spots, and you created an inventory of things you could fix now or in the future. You took one of them and you dove in and you did three things. You actually understood it, got curious and understood the problem more clearly. You did some design thinking around what that future state, what the solution was. And then you took a couple of looks at it in terms to see whether or not it was important to your business. Then we did an audit. We did it quick. We do this with organizations where we look at the entire landscape. We looked at some of the symptoms of potential issues with system integration, see if there's anywhere to look there. Then we jumped up to the insights creating business impact, right? And looked at some of the ones that you have in place. Is there opportunities to get more benefit from what you're doing there already? Then we said, okay, here's a methodology to actually understand whether to move forward and how to pick the shots that you take in your business. So we got a spot here for number 8. And number 8 is you, right? You've got the ingredients. You've invested your time with us here. What decisions have you now made? What actions are you going to take? I love this quote, Taylor. What's your ounce of action? We've done some theory. We've done some action here today, to be fair. But maybe you have 2 ounces of action. Heck, maybe a whole pound, right? What is the action that you're going to take out of this? And that actually goes into your decisions and actions page.
I don't know that we'll have time to get through all of your decisions and actions, but I think this is so impactful to spend the time after doing this exercise in this mindset and carve out some time to create those actions, those next steps you take to get on board.
So I see we're bringing it in the home stretch. ADO, leader in construction data solutions. What we do is we work inside of this data maturity framework, right? From the strategic, you got a little taste of it here today, data management, application development, insight design, system integration. We're seeing a lot of that today. We're also helping organizations iron out their kinks in the technology, selection, optimization. We're even managing environments for some organizations. So that's the stuff we do. We did want to promise so we had some offers, some bonus offers for some people that wanted to take action. There are organizations that have built their own teams and they know how much it costs. I put I think what is frankly a conservative, to get the resources to build this type of to have a team that could do this type of work, you're in $25,000 a month, and that's for maybe 3 people with the skills. I think it actually goes a lot higher. You could partner with firms like us, other firms that do this sort of work. We took a quick look at the ingredients of the data strategy. We do integration consults, we do tech audits, we do all that. If you stacked up the components and did it, piecemeal, it's about $7,000, right? Give or take. We've done a bunch of these data strategy workshops, 3 hours. We charge $1,500. Now I'm a little bit nervous here what my team has promised, but it looks like we have an offer here for folks that have taken the time to spend 45 minutes with us. So, if this is something that is interesting, that you found compelling, appealing, it looks like we're taking quite a haircut here, but so it looks like we'll do this for $600. And and if you don't like the result, if you didn't get your money's worth, then heck, we'll give you your money back. So we've got this on the table for the next 24 hours. This is actually something we do with our clients that we're working at the strategic, fractional chief data officer. We do this quarterly, but yeah, we think this can be a big benefit. Taylor?
Yeah, exactly. And we're so passionate about getting or partnering with you construction professionals to get started with a data strategy that's why we came in at that. We want to get everyone on that path. We want you to start thinking, using the tools. So we're really excited to offer you guys this today.
Yeah. And I said off the top, I believe it's construction's time. So we think you should do this. This is a no-brainer. But if you need a little bit more time and coaxing, we do have another bonus offer here. What we've done here across the gamut, we do on point problems, right? We use our same methodology, and you see the report card that we deliver here. So if you got something you want to riff with us on, we'll hop on a call for 20 minutes. We'll give you our assessment and report card. It's yours. You can do whatever you want with it. And we'd love to have the conversation.
Yeah. This is the stuff we love to do. We do it all day, every day. So, make the call, hop on a 20-minute session with one of our professionals, get started.
Awesome. So that's the two take action opportunities we have. Hopefully you've gotten some value out of the stopping and taking some time to think about the business. I know I find that invaluable when I have the space to think and to decide where it is I want to go and how we want to get there. So I want to thank you for the time here today. There'll be emails and links available to take us up on these offers. Taylor?
Yeah. Wonder if you have time for one question from the crowd.
Sure.
Yeah, you're up for it?
Sure.
Okay, perfect. So we got a question from Ahmed coming in here, and it's, what are some risks and limitations associated with relying heavily on data and analytics and digitization in the construction industry?
Yeah. Well, that's man, we might need a bigger boat.
So we could have a whole webinar on this question. I love it.
Yeah. So the risks and limitations, I mean, there is a lot of pain around construction technology. And you see there's a lot of articles about construction technology is not served the industry well. And I think that's half true. Right. And so the risk is when you make digitization and technology the objective.
Right.
And frankly, when you make data the objective, you're still a little bit lost here. Right. And so the risk is to really, if you're not anchoring in the business objective, in knowing where it is you want to go, there's a good chance you're going to lose a lot of time and money.
Right.
And it's an industry that is not well suited to experimentation and losing time and money. So I think the risk is that it's real. And the other side of that risk is picking your targets judiciously, right? Deciding where it is that you can have the best bang for your investment dollar, and then proving it out with tests and iterations that give you confidence on where you're going. Great question. Thank you, Ahmed. And that's I think that's it. I want to thank everybody. This was our first unveiling. There was lots of activity behind the scenes to pull this all together, and really want to thank everybody for joining. This was an awesome experience. Taylor and I are planning to get out regularly, and both through webinar and through private group coaching type approach, where we workshop different problems. So Taylor, anything to say on the way out?
No, just wanted to thank everyone for the time today. Like Chris said, I think you'll be hearing a lot more of us in the coming weeks and months. And, we're really excited about this session and working with you all. So hopefully we can get you guys excited about crafting a business-led data strategy.
And yeah, thank you. I was going to make a joke. Not everybody take us up on this offer because it's, but no, we would love to. We want to start a conversation and see what sort of magic we can create together. So on behalf of Ado, I want to thank everybody. Have a great Wednesday.